Greetings, Nimrods. We're back in the lead shed. We're doing another installment of Nimrods Reloading 101, talking about just the basics, just talking about target reloads and what I do. So the last video we did on the hulls, and specifically 12 gauge hulls, and I wanted to touch on two other things on hulls, the sub gauge hulls, and I'll clarify one other thing we talked about. So we talked about the target hulls I like to use. I may like to use the Remington STS and the Winchester AA's, and they're compression formed hulls. They're the tapered hulls, and the difference being that they're better for target loads because they don't occupy as much room in the hull for the components. The straight walled hulls, like these are 20 gauge, but these are straight walled. These are Cheddite, or yeah, these are Cheddites. They have a lot more room in them, and you cannot as easily do low volume loads. You see the Fiochi on the top and the Remington on the bottom. And the other thing with the tapered hulls, the compression hulls on the bottom there, is that they burn powder more efficiently. They use less powder, and generally that's why you see them as target loads. And I like to do 7/8 ounce loads in the 12 gauge, and you can do it, and you can find components that make it work, but it's just not easy. And so that's one of the reasons why we use the compression formed hulls as opposed to straight walled hulls. In 20 gauge, and we're going to get into sub gauges, yes, I love to use the AA hulls, and they are a compression formed hull. They have the two-part. The newer ones now are made with two pieces, but they are essentially compression. They're like their old ones that were truly compression formed. We'll show some cutaways of those and show the difference there. But I do, however, for some target loads, use the straight hulls, and specifically Cheddite, sometimes Federal, Top Gun. I use them for hunting loads a lot. The Top Guns I really like for that. But what I use these for, they're target hulls, but they have spreader inserts in them. And we have a video on that. We'll link it to the description. But so I do use these for target loads. Don't really reuse them all that much. You know, they might be good for one or two firings, especially the Top Gun, because they have the fiber base wads in them. So for the 20 gauge, it's mostly AA's, and for some specialty target loads, I use the straight walled Federal or Cheddite, depending on the recipe. And one other load that they make out there, and I probably don't even have one, maybe I do, hope I don't, are the Remington. They make a compression formed one, the STS or the Gun Club. Get my beard across here, maybe I can. Well, that's kind of one. That's actually a hunting load, but so they do make them. I don't know why I don't use them, to be honest with you. I see them all the time. I just got so many AA's, and I love those that I use those, and I just, you know, I'm not going to change my recipe until I need to. So they're out there, and there's definitely recipes for them. I think it's partly because some of the powder manufacturers, specifically Alliant, and I tend to use Alliant in 20 gauge, they call for the same primer on most of their loads as the hull is. So if I'm using Remington hulls, and they want most of the recipes they have, not all of them, but most of them are Remington primers, and Remington primers are expensive and not readily available. So maybe that's why I don't use them. So there we go. Mostly use the AA's, and the only other sub gauge I reload is 410. I'm sure you've seen some of our great reloading videos on 410. Of course, there's the Posnus Warren Mech Challenge with Bubba Alamo. It's a classic if you haven't seen it, all 15 minutes of it. I recommend that. We both have a video out there and on our respective channels from same event, different perspectives, different editing. I would prefer that you watch mine, but I'll actually think that the most of Bubba's video is actually better. funnier, except for the intro. The intro on my video is much better. But I digress. So double A's for the 410, double A's for the 20 gauge, sometimes Cheddite, sometimes Federal, and then for 12 gauge it's pretty much all STS and double A's. So that's enough on hulls. I won't do any more on hulls, I promise. We'll move on to primers shortly. So if you like this, give it a thumbs up. Make sure you share this with all your social media friends. And remember that Nimrod wants you to subscribe. So hit that subscribe button and become a Nimrod. Happy hunting, Nimrods.